Hello everyone. In this video, I will show you how to deploy Evergreen Integrated Library System to the cloud. We'll use Microsoft Azure for this demonstration. Evergreen ILS is open source software created by and for public, academic, and K-12 libraries worldwide. It's the software you see when you search a library's catalog, and it also includes modules for library staff administration. It's free for anyone to download and use. Let's get started. All right, so here I am in Azure. I'm about to create a virtual machine. So I'll click on virtual machines here. And then I will click on the create button down below, and I'm going to choose virtual machine. I'll start filling in the details here. I have an existing resource group, and I'll use that one. Then I will give the virtual machine a name. And I'll leave the region as is. There's some options for the availability zone. You can self-select or let Azure choose for you. I'll let Azure choose for me. And then the next piece here is probably the most important, and that is the operating system. You need to use Ubuntu Server for the latest version of Evergreen. In this case, that is 24.04 long-term support. And then for the other options, such as your processor, memory, these can all be left as is. I will, however, set a secure shell public key here, and I'm going to use a key pair that I've previously uploaded. I'm also going to make sure that port 22 is enabled. I'll come back here and set some other networking options later. Next, we'll go through the disk options. I see no need to change anything here. Networking interface, I'll come back here and show you how basic firewall rules can be set for an Evergreen demo. Now, if this were a production system, we would want to set some options here, such as auto shutdown, backup, and guest operating system updates, but that's not needed here. We could also set alert monitoring, diagnostics, and health. We'll skip this for now, but should be used for a production system, of course. And then there's some other advanced options, such as the ability to pass custom scripts, capacity reservations, dedicated hosts, and so on. And then here, if you needed to create tags for billing and inventory control purposes, you can do that. And then you can move on to reviewing and creating. All right, so we're just about to create our virtual machine, and we're just doing that now. This will take a few moments to go through. All right, so we're just about to sign into our virtual machine using the secure shell. Okay, the very first thing we will do is create a file. You can use Nano for this purpose if you want to. And this is a bash script. So the very first thing the script does is it updates and upgrades Ubuntu. It'll go through all of that. And because the operating system is very bare metal, there's no GUI and it's missing most of the common software packages, we want to install those to be sure that Evergreen has the latest prerequisites. The other thing we have to do um, after running that is we have to get the Ansible package. Ansible is the installer for Evergreen, and it automates the deployment of Evergreen so that you don't have to install it manually. It's maintained by a member of the Evergreen community. It's hosted on Git. This command clones it, and then if you're interested, this is the URL where you can go and view the community maintained Ansible installer. And then the script will change directory into the Evergreen Ansible installer folder. And then it'll move on to actually running the Ansible playbook. I want to call attention to the 4Vs and the dash here. This sets very verbose logging within Ansible, the lowest level of logging. So that is useful for troubleshooting purposes if the Ansible script install happens to fail. All right, so we're going to go ahead and create our file here. You can use Nano or Vim, whichever binary text editor you like or have available. Then I will copy my script from this file into our new one on the VM. Okay, we will save and exit. And now we have to make the file executable. And now we're going to run the file as the sudo user. Right, so as I mentioned, it's going to start updating and upgrading Ubuntu, and then it will begin installing Ansible, and then Ansible in turn will begin to install the Evergreen script. We've jumped ahead a little bit into this process. We've actually gotten into the Ansible installer. It's fairly common for this installer to sit on a specific task, quite often on installing Evergreen or building Evergreen files. Don't get discouraged if this happens. And then here I'm showing you the firewall rules that I set so that only we can sign in from our own IP address, and then we set rules for port 80 and 443 respectively. All right, back to the script. This is the part that I mentioned, install Evergreen prereqs. It'll sit here for quite a few minutes, not a problem. At some point, it'll kick off and start running and get to the end of the script. We'll return to that in a moment. All right, so we've gotten all the way to the end of the script. And here, as long as you'd never see any red text or any packages that say failed, it means that the install was successful. So we can go ahead and check whether our website is live. We'll do that in just a moment. All right, so this shows you the OPAC. This is where you can search a library's catalog and note the address. You can also check if the staff workstation is online, and you can see here that it is. Now, Evergreen demos come with a demonstration admin user, a username admin, and the password is demo123, all lowercase. You'll want to get rid of that for a demo or a production system rather. Right, and that signs you in. You can register a workstation if needed. And then here is the URL for the self-check module. It'll bring you to a self-signed, the installer uses a self-signed certificate, so the browser will ask you to accept that and click through, and then that brings you to the self-check module here. Um, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Thank you very much for your time. Please check us out online at churchillcomputing.com. I am also on LinkedIn, and I am offering a new self-checkout experience in your library. Ask us about it. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.